Hey friends, and happy Monday. Today is the first Monday in January of the new calendar year 2023. And Monday is typically a day that I send out our Monday Musings newsletter, and I thought that for this first Monday Musings of this new calendar year that I would send out a little video, unedited, of just me rambling on, probably. Not really. So whenever I sit down to do these Monday musings, I really take a moment to evaluate what's been on my mind for the week. And it was my full intention to send out a last of 2022 musings last week, and honestly, I didn't get to it. Part of the reason that I didn't get to it is there's a lot of things that are continuing to happen in my personal life that are asking for my time and attention. And so I've been really focusing on creating the space for that and to process, emotions that are coming up and to move through. But I wanted to kind of come on and talk a little bit about the fact that I've shared with more than one person in the last couple of weeks that I don't typically celebrate the changing of the new year when the calendar changes. There's many reasons behind this, but the biggest one for me is I feel like the older I get, the more I feel like it's really unrealistic for us to have such a hectic, chaotic time be the space that we're expected to wrap up everything that has happened in the last year and reflect on the last year and to come into this new year, this new calendar year, ready to go. It just doesn't make sense in my body or in my mind. And so many years ago, I kind of stopped doing that. Now, owning a business, I, of course, am kind of held by this idea of time and the way in which the Gregorian calendar works. So I always, get a new calendar for January 1st and set up, my planner for January 1st and all of that. But I really use the first few weeks of January to ease into the new year. So for me, my new year, this year specifically, will begin on January 22nd. Now, this is always kind of, I go with the Lunar New Year, right? So the Lunar New Year is on January 22nd this year, and that changes every single year. It's not a fixed date. And so this year I am working for the next 20 days. So today's the 2nd, so the next 20 days in wrapping up things from last year, thinking about how I want to move forward for this year, thinking about goals in my personal life, in my business, and more than that, thinking about the steps that I'm going to take to achieve those goals. Manifestation is great. Making vision boards is great. Looking at those vision boards every day, fantastic. But unless we're doing the work to create the space and the energy for those manifestations to actually manifest into our lives, it's kind of a fruitless effort, right? Like, it can be fun, but we have to actively do the work to clear space, to let go of things that are no longer working, to set the table for us to be able to move forward. So that's how I'm going to spend the next 20 days of this year. Or yes, the next 20 days of 2023. I'm looking at table setting for the new year. So that's been kind of on my mind. In addition, I am not entirely certain how we did it, but we made it to the end of another year, which is pretty incredible. I can honestly say that owning a business is not what I expected it to be in any way. And in large part, I know that much of that is actually out of my control, because I purchased this business at the end of 2018. I knew that I was taking over ownership January 1st of 2019. What I did not know is what would happen, what would begin to happen 1 year later, and what we would actually see happening 15 months after I stepped into ownership. Now, I have never really, I've always had a lot of community support. I've always had a lot of help and support from you all, which is fantastic. But I started this business with literally nothing. I was able to purchase the business because the previous owner had some health things happening and wanted to step out of business, and sold me the business for a fair price. And at that moment, I had just won a lawsuit from a car accident that I was in. And so I had, a decent sum of money to invest in something. And so I decided to invest in myself and to invest in this community. So I stepped into ownership of the business. Now, hindsight is 2020, and there are certain things that I took on when I took on the ownership of this business that really were not set up for me to be successful. And were I to go back and do it again, I would draw the business papers up in a different way so that I could be more successful. But I hadn't owned a business before. I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I just did the best that I could. And I did, seek some advice from my wisdom counsel, and from my family and friends. But like I said, hindsight is 2020. There are things that I know that I would have done different, but by some miracle and a whole lot of hard work and perseverance, we're here. We made it. And we are continuing to move forward. That being said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for any of you. It's still very touch and go. We began to recover from the pandemic, and just as we began to recover from the pandemic, inflation hit. And that makes the cost of everything more. And what I've learned is that as much as the government really says that it supports small businesses like mine are not set up to be successful. I am a sole proprietor business. It is just me. And even though I am an LLC, I am taxed as a sole proprietor. I'm taxed as self-employed, which is great in a lot of ways, and in other ways it's very, very difficult. The biggest way in which it becomes difficult is securing capital for anything, really. And what I've learned is that it takes capital to keep a business going. And at some point, every business has to, or gets to a space, hopefully, where they either are growing or they're folding. We've been towing that line for a really long time. Excuse me. And I'm hoping that we can slowly continue to grow. And I know in large part that that is a community effort. We need you all to continue to support us by coming to classes, by continuing to purchase class packages and your memberships from us, by bringing your kids to classes to practice with us, by bringing your friends and neighbors to classes to practice with us. The 99.9% of our business here is word of mouth. So if you really like what's happening in this community, you like what we are building and creating here, please invite your community to come and join you, right? We all know the movement is better with friends, with people that we already know, enjoying the time and space with us. So we continue to need that support in that way. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard in the 10 plus years that I've been teaching, oh, yoga, I've been really wanting to try that. So come. That's my invitation, always. So come. It took my own mother 8 years probably, a global pandemic, and the availability to be more comfortable on Zoom to start practicing yoga with me. 8 years. So the invitation is an open invitation, and it's here for everyone, always. We are doing our very best, and it is my dream and intention to truly create a space that feels welcoming, and not only welcoming, but safe and inviting to everybody with a capital B. However you show up in the world, we want you here, showing up with us, practicing with us. Whether it's here in person or online, with the availability of our classes online, even if your family isn't close here, or your friends aren't close here, you can send them invitation links. You can gift them gift certificates to move with us online, which is a great way to help us build the online community. We're one of, a few studios left that are continuing to offer online classes as well as the in-person classes. So I have a lot of goals and a lot of dreams for this next year. And over the next 3 weeks, I will be laying the groundwork to hopefully make those dreams happen. And I am confident that we can continue to be here, we can continue to show up, we can continue to grow and create this space together. And I'm so grateful that all of you are on this journey with me. Until next time, stay healthy, happy, and glowing. I love you all so much.